Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today it is Deep Dive Day. This is the second episode of the Deep Dive series, and the first one being of my Colnago C68, which if you haven't seen, you can check it out up here. But today we are looking at this AERO BEAST, my Vitus ZX-1 EVO. Now, you may have seen the dream build video on the channel of this bike, and it didn't look like this. Well, it did, but not exactly the same. There are a few changes that I've made over the last couple of months to make this bike, one, lighter, and two, a little bit more suited to my riding style, because I never really had a fully aero bike before, and I wanted to take this bike on trips abroad and actually do some climbing on it. So I wanted to get the best of both worlds, which is how I've now set this bike up. So let's take a dive into this bike. First of all, the frame, the ZX-1 EVO frame in black cherry. If you're unaware of how Vitus sort of spec their bikes, each spec has its own colour. So if you have the black cherry, it's the SRAM red. There is a lovely blue, which is for the SRAM Force, and then they do like a silver for, I think it's either Rival or the Ultegra version. But basically they sort of go one colour, one spec to keep everything the same. It is an extra small, and I went with an extra small because I am an extra small person. No, basically I was in between a small and an extra small, and my advice, this is just my advice, but if you're ever in between sizes, I would always size down, because you can make a small bike bigger very easily. You can't make a big bike smaller as easily. So that's why I went with extra small, and it weighs less. So, you know, win-win. So let's talk Groupset for a second then. As I've already mentioned, it's on SRAM red. The teeth ratio on this front chainring is 48-35, and the rear is a 10-33. So it's very similar to like having a 32 tooth cassette on a compact in Shimano. I took this up mountains on the Pyrenees, definitely still wanted more gears, but just to put it into perspective, Demi Vollering just won the Tour de France basically on the Tourmalet, and she won it on this exact same set of gears. So yeah, definitely capable on the hard climbs. Just maybe my knees needed to be a little bit stronger. One thing to mention is this bike does not come full SRAM red when you buy it. The chain and the cassette are SRAM Force. So in order to save a little bit of weight, I did upgrade to a SRAM red cassette and the SRAM red chain, and I've also pimped the rear mech a little bit with this awesome Ceramicspeed OSPW. Again, not necessary, but I really wanted to finish it off to a high level, and this group set will come in handy if I ever want to move it onto other bikes in future. So to have a full SRAM red group set, I thought it was really cool to have, so I went with it. I forgot to mention, the cranks are 165mm because I've got little legs. Really, I should actually have 160mm apparently, according to my bike fit, but 165 doesn't seem to be too bad. The biggest visual difference is the wheels. This bike comes spec'd with Reynolds AR58 and AR62 wheels. Really aero, really fast, but they're a bit on the heavy side. I think they're something like 1600 grams, don't quote me on that. These are much lighter. These are the Creative Carbon Ultra 50mm. These will change soon. I'm going to go 65s, but they are still going to be lighter than the Reynolds. These wheels from Creative Carbon are carbon rim, carbon spoke, and ceramic bearings. So they are super fast, super light, super stiff, but they're actually very comfortable as well because they have a wide rim internal. So you can actually run these 28mm tires at a super low pressure if you run them tubeless, which means they're stiff, responsive, but comfortable. And that for me was a massive win, and they're lighter. Hiya, in case you were wondering, these tyres are Hutchinson Fusion 5. These are Hutchinson's top of the line tyre. Run them tubeless in 28mm, and I've never had a puncture on them. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. The other thing you might notice on the wheels are the rotors. Now these are Galfa rotors. I have a 160 on the front and a 140 on the rear. And the only real reason is that they're lighter. That's why I've got these on. But yeah, they're awesome. Never had a problem with them. You may have noticed as well, absolute black graphene brake pads. You can tell because they've got these crazy fins, but I have them on the Colnago and I have them on this. Really, really strong. I did have a little bit of brake fade on a mountain descent recently, but to be fair, I'm pretty sure it's more my fault from being the way I was on the brakes all the time. They say that they don't overheat, but I'm pretty sure it's impossible to fully remove any overheating from from braking in certain circumstances, if in extreme circumstances anyway. But yeah, these pads are great. Now this is one thing I really love about this bike, the integrated cockpit. It is a Vision Metron ACR 5D integrated stem and cockpit, and I run a 40cm handlebar on this with a 100mm stem. This bike is like super aggressive. As you can see, I've slammed the stem like all the way down. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't a good idea because it is really, really low, but I have now got used to that. 100mm stem on this, with it being lower, it does actually make it more comfortable than having it closer and low, so I don't have to sort of like tuck under myself. But yeah, these are super good. Not the lightest bars in the world, but they're very aero, fully integrated, and this out front mount is like fully aero integrated into the bars as well, which I really, really like. Just like the Colnago, I have a Berk saddle on this. This one is not the Leaper, it is the Lupina Short in 143 mil wide, and it's the most comfortable saddle I've tried out of any saddle. The Leaper is comfortable, but this one is a little bit wider and a little bit more contoured here, and I've got quite a big bottom. So this saddle I found actually is the most comfortable one, and I do swap it between bikes. I took the Colnago away for 4 or 5 days of riding to Paris recently, and I put this saddle on it because it's just so much more comfortable on long, long rides. 7 hours in the saddle, not a problem on this, even though it's got carbon rails. So yeah, top job, Berk, well done. Wouldn't be a deep dive if I didn't show you the bottle cages. These are Elite Leggero bottle cages, carbon ones, very, very lightweight, like minus 10 grams each or something like that. But yeah, I just really like the look of them. They're very light, they're easy to get the bottles in and out. Simple as that really, isn't it? Nice. And that's the bike. I've been riding it for a few months. Now that I've got it quite light, I find it's the perfect blend of aerodynamics and weight. This exact setup now, without the pedals but with the cages, is 7.4 kilos. The pedals are like 167 grams that I have. I just swap them between the bikes. So it's 7.5 kilos for an aero bike. That can go up the climbs as well. It's a really good, versatile all-rounder. There's no denying the geometry on this bike and the way I've slammed the stem. It's aggressive. It took me a few weeks to get my body used to that position, but now I find that I'm actually quite comfortable in it. You'll notice that I put the saddle directly in line with the centre of the seat post. That just allows me to sort of be up and over the front of the bike rather than sort of being back and stretching out like this. I am only small, so that's just the problem I have with most of my bikes. The seat post is actually really good. You can slide the whole clamp. So once you've clamped the seat rails to the clamp, you can slide the clamp back and forward as well. So you can have it in line or you can have it laid back, as well as obviously moving the saddle rails and the seat itself on the clamp. So there's a lot more flexibility with setting up your saddle than you would normally get on a normal fixed seat post, which I really like. But yeah, what do you reckon? I love this thing. It's super fast, pretty light, and very, very enjoyable to ride. The great thing about this is it doesn't cost the earth. Yes, it's not cheap, but for a bike that's on the top spec SRAM group set with some decent wheels, it's £6,000. Vitus really have made a really good value proposition here at a high-end spec, which you don't really find much in the bike market at the minute. So yeah, top marks to Vitus. I love this bike, and I will continue to ride it throughout the rest of the year, and I'm sure it'll always put a smile on my face. So there you go, that is my Vitus ZX-1 EVO deep dive. If I've missed anything or if you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop me a comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I see it. I'm pretty sure I've covered everything though. And yeah, let me know what you think. What do you think to this bike? Would you ride an aero bike? Do you think that trying to get an aero bike as light as possible is a complete waste of time? Personally, I like light and aero bikes, so why not have the best of both? If you've enjoyed today's video, guys, please smash that like button. It does really help the channel because the algorithm then knows you're liking it and it shows it to more people that also might like it too. And if you do enjoy what I'm doing or these videos in general, then consider joining the family and subscribing to the channel for more content. Until the next video though, guys, keep riding your bikes and I will see you soon. Take care. Peace.